Paul was going to do invocation. I don't see him here yet to do that. So, we'll go ahead. I'll say an invocation. Father God, Lord Jesus, thank you for bringing us all together as a community. We ask for your blessing in this meeting. We ask for peace and kindness to each other. We ask for us to accomplish our goals here today. We ask these things in the name of Lord Jesus. Amen. Okay. The second, we're going to do another little thing here that is really important. I know a lot of you folks, I see you take advantage of the food bank here in Yucca. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped a part. But that's why Carol's here.
She's a good secretary.
She's a great secretary. If we can stand up, we're going to say pledge allegiance to the flag. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, I know that I see a number of you from week to week that take advantage of the food pantry here in Yucca. And maybe not everybody knows this, but Terry Underhill, who's managed the food pantry, Barbara, for a long time, right? She's been the lead in this. And a little over a week ago, she passed away, which is really sad. And I know that a lot of you have sat across the table from her at the food bank. And so we want to just take a moment of silence to honor Terry, please. And Lord Jesus, we thank you for Terry and giving us her life that she dedicated here to us. Be with her, we pray in the name of Jesus. Be with our community, please. In the name of Jesus. Amen. And I might add that her celebration of life will be here at the church at 11 o'clock on March 8th. Okay, the church will be providing food. Nobody needs to bring anything. But she was an active member of the VFW here. She was the Grand Marshal of our parade at Memorial Day. So she will be missed. And her family that lives right here in Yucca. A lot of great people. And so please, if you want to honor Terry, come join us here on the 8th, which is a Saturday at 11 o'clock. Okay. Now we have the establishment of a quorum. By the way,
introduce.
Yeah. And I can't read all this stuff. It's too much. My name is Rob Hooper, and I'm blowing everything here, but that's because I'm nervous looking at everybody. But I want to introduce the board members here and management. Okay. Over here I have Carol Wilk. She's the secretary of our board. And over here we have Sharon Horton, who is our treasurer. John Santani could not join us today, which we'll be briefing a little bit more on that. And John Shea stepped down. He's not running again, so he stepped down a little bit early, but good job, John, and everything that you've done. And we have Melissa Layton and Kelly here. Did you want to introduce any of your other folks? Or?
Sure. Good morning, everybody. We have up at the front table Brandy Wells, and we have Cheryl Camarena. Vasquez now. Sorry about that. And we have Jenny Kinney with us. She's I think already headed to the back room where we're going to begin counting ballots here in just a few moments. Is that the Ashley Treasy? And Ashley Treasy as well. So thank you.
Okay.
Are you going to count ballots before the candidates speak?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
The question was, are we going to count ballots before the candidates speak? If you look at the agenda, the first item, really, right after we announce that there is a quorum, which I can announce. Is that okay?
Yes,
right now? Yes, we have a quorum of 449, so we have met our quorum requirement plus. We're going to have our people, we're going to ask for a few volunteers that are not related to any of the candidates whatsoever to volunteer. We'll need 3 to go in the back room and begin the process of counting because it takes a long time. If we don't do that, they won't get through their count by the time we're done with the meeting in 2 hours. But we also, once the candidates get up and introduce themselves, for those of you who have not cast your ballot and you wanted to wait for the candidates' speeches, we'll call for those. And then we'll take them to the back room and give them to the girls to add to the count. Okay? Thank you.
So we do have a quorum.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And we would like to get started on doing that count. So we need our volunteers. So we're going to have the appointment of the inspectors. Carol, who's our secretary, will.
What I need is 3 volunteers that are not related to any of the people running for the board. Do I have 3? Okay, so. Okay, what's your name? Sandy. Okay, and then all the way in the back. Sharon. And gentleman in the far corner there. Kevin. Okay, can they go ahead and go back?
Yes, please. We'll
if you can go ahead and follow Kelly, she'll take you into the voting room so that you can observe the vote. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Carol. Get this show on the road, as they say. So what I'm going to do now is I've got some stuff to read here. This is all about how we conduct the meeting, and so this is important information to listen to because we want to have a good and orderly meeting here to ensure orderly, productive, and respectful discussions during our meeting. You must adhere to the following guidelines. Number 1 is our meeting structure and order. The meeting will follow a pre-approved agenda to ensure all topics are addressed efficiently. The board president and myself will facilitate the meeting and enforce proper conduct. All attendees must sign in before the meeting begins, and we've done that, okay? And it's important to point this out that this is a private meeting, all right? It's a private meeting of the members of the community. It's not a public meeting. Number 2, speaking and participation. When we have our, only one person may speak at a time, and this is really referring over to our owner comments, which we'll have on the agenda. It comes up later. But only one person may speak at a time, and side conversation should be avoided while we're here. Members must wait to be recognized by the chairperson before speaking. We do ask if you're going to make comment, which we have some cards that have been turned in, and that's how we're doing it. It's kind of like the way the county does it. You turn your card in, and then we order those cards. But you must please give your name and your parcel number so we know who's doing that. And we do have 30 minutes set aside for owner comment. Okay, these are not forum discussions. This is really making comments. Okay, each speaker will be given a time limit of 2 to 3 minutes to ensure that more voices are heard that would like to speak out. Respectful communication. All discussions must remain civil and respectful. Personal insults, yelling, or disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. Attendees must address the board of the community as a whole and not as individual members. And it's a really important thing here that we're a community, you know, and it's important that we support each other, and we certainly don't want division. We don't want a lot of problems coming out of this. Profanity, threats, or aggressive behavior may result in removal from the meeting. And this is warning number 1, okay, to everybody. Warning number 2 will be followed quickly by asking you to leave if you're going to cause a problem here. And I do have, as the chairperson here, the authority to issue warnings to any disruptive members. And if disruption continues, the individual may be asked to leave. For serious disruptions, the board may adjourn the meeting and reschedule if necessary. And please, we don't want to go there. We've got good work to do here today. Let's all cooperate. A designated member comment period will allow members to voice concerns. Now, by following these guidelines, the Santa Fe Ranch POA can ensure meetings remain efficient, productive, and respectful for all meetings. I might also add, for all members, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
That's why you have to have a good secretary. Takes care of me. Open Meetings Law, Arizona 33-1804. Persons attending may audio tape or videotape those portions of the meeting of the board of directors and meetings of the members that are open unless the board audio tapes or videotapes the meeting and makes the unedited audio tapes or videotapes available to the members. So speaking to that, the board is audio taping this meeting, and it will be made available upon request. Therefore, owners may not videotape, audio tape, or live stream any association meetings without specific written consent of the board of directors. Okay?
Shut it down.
Currently live streaming.
Okay, we'll shut it down, please. I'm sorry, please shut it. Yes.
According to the Arizona Code 33-1804, unless it's actually pre-told to us, we can't, and it was not told to us until right now. So according to that, we are allowed to.
That's not true.
That's not true, I'm sorry.
We have the attorney who can come.
We just want to get it shut down. Okay.
Let's have the
You want me to
attorney
read the whole
say that.
Yeah, go ahead, read the whole statute.
Let's have the attorney
So I
say
have the statute here for you.
that. Let's have the attorney say that.
Okay. We don't have the attorney here today. That costs an excessive amount of money to have him here.
Can you
So,
be quiet?
okay, we need to call to order.
We are shutting it
You're out of order. You're not recognized. Please sit down.
We're shutting it down.
Thank you.
Do I need to read the statute? Okay. Arizona Revised Statute 33-1804, Open Meetings, Exceptions, Notice, Agenda, Policy, Statement. Notwithstanding any provision in the declarations, bylaws, or other documents to the contrary, all meetings of the Members Association and the Board of Directors and any regularly scheduled committee meetings are open to all members of the association or any designated by a member in writing as the member's representative, and all members or designated representatives so desiring shall be allowed to attend and speak at an appropriate time during the deliberations and proceedings. The board may place reasonable time restrictions on those persons speaking during the meeting, but shall allow a member or member's designated representative to speak once after the board has discussed a specific agenda item, but before the board takes formal action on that item, in addition to any other opportunities to speak. The board shall provide for a reasonable number of persons to speak on each side of an issue. Persons attending may audio tape, videotape those portions of the meetings of the board of directors and meetings of the members that are open. The board of directors of the association shall not require advance notice of the audio taping or videotaping and may adopt reasonable rules governing the audio taping and videotaping of open portions of the meetings of the board and the membership, but such rules shall not preclude such audio taping or videotaping by those attending, and here's the key, unless the board audio tapes or videotapes the meeting and makes the unedited audio tapes or videotapes available to members on request without restrictions on their use as evidence in any dispute resolution process. Any portion of the meeting may be closed only if that closed portion of the meeting is limited to consideration of one or more of the following. Number 1, legal advice from an attorney for the board or the association. On final resolution of any matter for which the board received legal advice or that concerned pending or contemplated litigation, the board may disclose information about that matter in an open meeting except for matters that are required to remain confidential by the terms of a settlement agreement or judgment. Pending or contemplated litigation is number 2. Number 3, personal health or financial information about an individual member of the association, an individual employee of the association, or an individual employee of a contractor or the association, including records of the association directly related to the personal health, or financial information about an individual member of the association, an individual employee of the association, or an individual employee of a contractor for the association. Number 4, matters relating to the job performance of compensation of health records or of specific complaints against an individual employee of the association or an individual employee of a contractor of the association who works under the direction of the association. I just want to remind you that these are things that we can do in private, or that we are required to do in private. These would not be public discussion items. Number 5 is discussion of a member's appeal of any violation cited or penalty imposed by the association except on request of the affected member, that the meeting be held in an open session. B, notwithstanding any provision in the community documents, all meetings of the members' association and the board shall be held in this state. A meeting of the members' association shall be held at least once each year. Special meetings of the members' association may be called by the president, by a majority of the board of directors, or by members having at least 25% or any lower percentage specified in the bylaws of the votes in the association. Not fewer than 10 or more than 50 days in advance of any meeting of the members, the secretary shall cause notice to be hand-delivered or sent prepaid by United States mail to the mailing address for each lot, parcel, or unit owner, or to any other mailing address designated in writing by a member. The notice shall state the date, time, and place of the meeting. A notice of any annual, regular, or special meeting of the members shall also state the purpose for which the meeting is called, including the general nature of any proposed amendment to the declaration or bylaws, changes in assessments that require approval of the members, and any proposal to remove a director or an officer. The secretary shall also provide an agenda for any meeting of the members' association by hand delivery, mail, website posting, email, or other electronic means or posting at a community center or other similar locations. The failure of any member to receive actual notice of a meeting of the members or the meeting agenda does not affect the validity of any action taken at that meeting. I'm going to go ahead and pause there because the statute is quite lengthy, but that's the section that covers what we're talking, mainly what we're talking about today.
Yeah, and the logic behind that is that this is a private meeting, and we want to keep our business private amongst our members. It makes a lot more sense that way.
Incorrect. Our meetings are not private. In Arizona, property owners, associations, and homeowners associations are required to conduct meetings openly and provide advance notice and agendas. This is mandated by Arizona's open meeting law. These meetings must allow members to attend and speak at an appropriate time during deliberations. If you are operating ethically and morally, you would have no issue allowing all members to see what is happening at your annual meeting that involve an election.
There was a pushback on not having our Zoom. We're not set up for Zoom. We don't have the cameras, we don't have the mics. We tried it. Maybe next year we'll have that. We tried.
Perhaps if you invested in communication efforts with members instead of almost $50,000 in cameras to snap photos of license plates, you could be more transparent.
That at the potluck last fall, it didn't work out well. We had a lot of complaints about people that couldn't hear, etc. So this is the way it is. We're having our meeting, and we have a quorum, and we're moving forward. So there you go. Now, we've got some presentations to start going through before we get down to our election procedures with the candidate statements. And we're very lucky to have as part of our membership here a county supervisor. And so I'd like you to welcome Supervisor Ron Gould. He's got a few things to tell you about this.
Thanks, Rob. I don't know if you're lucky or not. You might be unlucky, I guess. Depends on your point of view if you get to listen to me or not. Thank you for coming today. I'm Ron Gould. I'm the Mohave County Supervisor for the 5th District. The 5th District is the north part of Lake Havasu City, Desert Hills, Crystal Beach, Havasu Heights, Yucca, Golden Shores, Topac, Mohave Valley, and Fort Mohave. So that's our district. Most of the people live in either Fort Mohave or in Lake Havasu. I live here on the ranch. I own Prop 1, number 108 Tortoise. I think they're going to start asking you that when you come up to speak later, so I thought I would throw that in. The couple of things that are going on at the county. We have to come up with a new way to provide medical examiner services. So we're going to be looking at building a morgue. We've used the contract service, I think, forever. The state statute requires that we have a medical examiner. If you have a death, it's not attended by a physician. So you have to have a medical examiner. We've used a private company to do that. We led a new contract about 3 years ago, and it really has not worked well at all. So we've been revisiting that for about 18 months. And so we'll be moving forward with that. We believe we're going to put it in an existing building that we already own. I want to be thrifty with your tax dollars, so I don't want to go building a building I don't need to build. It's actually
Given you are a county representative and a property owner within the association, you think you could encourage the board of directors to be thrifty with our association dues?
a building up by the motor pool that's on Route 66 on the far side of Kingman. And currently we have signs stored in that, so we're going to find someplace else to store the signs so we can put it in there. But that'll be a board decision. The other thing that's even more interesting is zero-based budgeting. Anybody know what zero-based budgeting is?
That's what we all do in our textbooks.
Exactly. You start at zero. So currently how most governments do budgets, they're looking at what they spent last year and then increase over for the new year. That's not what we're looking at doing. What we're looking at doing is going to zero. That you have to justify every dollar that you spend, just like you do at home. You prioritize things. What's the most important? What's the second most important? That kind of thing. I've been in politics for over 20 years. At election time, everybody talks about zero-based budgeting, but that's about as far as it goes, this talk. So hopefully we can bring it to fruition. We'll probably choose one department to start with so that we can get a baseline on how much staff time is this going to take, and work that out rather than just going countywide, because I think that's just too big of a bite to chew. To go countywide in one drop. So we'll be looking at that. It's interesting that there was an article that the PI, Public Information Officer, wrote about me that played in the newspapers here. And it was kind of funny because it says, and Gould loves zero-based budgeting. And I thought it was kind of my Ron Swanson moment from Parks and Recreation. It's just kind of a funny comment. But there's a lot going on. Do you have time for a couple questions? Yes. Sure. Anybody have a question?
Can you go over what the county engineers said about lot lines and right-of-ways? Like for fences that have been put on supposed right-of-ways?
Sure. Gosh, I think I've been in office now for about 6 years. I was state senator before that. But I've always wondered, what are the roads that we have inside the ranch? Are they rights-of-way? Are they easements? And I got various different answers over the years. But we took a look at when the issue with Mr. Hooper's fence.
It is important to note that the county and the board of directors with property management all levied fines or penalties of some kind on a property owner within the association for the same fence violation that Mr. Robert Hooper is getting a pass for.
We took a look and wanted to find out what those were, and what they really are is they're easements. So around every property, you have an easement on all four sides. Easements are different from rights-of-way. Rights-of-way would have meant that the developer gave that the right-of-way to the county for the county to administer, and it no longer belongs to the landowner, it belongs to the county. Essentially, it belongs to the public through the county administers it. These are actually easements, so the developer granted an easement for the public to pass and for utilities to be put in that area. So they're around each and every parcel. So we took a look at that. Even the roads that are graded, those are easements, they are not rights of way. Which is kind of interesting. So technically they are your property, but the guy that owned them before you granted an easement. So if you want to get rid of that easement, the state statute says that you can petition the county board of supervisors to do that. We're going to charge you a fee, and then we have the county the county surveyor goes out and takes a look at that, prepares a document. You pay for that. It's a $600 fee, and then it'll go back to the board of supervisors for a final vote. We took a vote on Mr. Hooper's issue a week and a half ago at our bi-monthly meeting. What that vote was for the board of supervisors told the surveyor to go out and prepare the documents. So that's what they were doing. I know my house is across the street. We have a monument, which is a little concrete thing with a sign that says Survey Monument. My wife came home and saw what appeared to be the lunar module on a tripod over that monument. I was not being a responsive husband, so I didn't get back to her question. So I got about 6 more texts from her, and then she answered her own question. So I got cut out of the whole deal. But he was out there taking that survey now. Everybody has the right to do that. If we have set our fee properly, there's no burden on the taxpayer to do that. The burden is on the property owner. I own 4 parcels out here. I have 2 of them that abut. So I cannot fence, with an easement there, I cannot fence those 2 40s into an 80. Because I'm then fencing off that easement. So if I want to do that, I have to have that easement extinguished. But if you look on the map, there's one, you have a graded road, you have another graded road, and you have a block of 8 properties. Between that block of 8 properties is another easement. Like an alley back way into your property. Why the developer did that, I have no idea. I would assume it's for future development.
So wildlife access failed to graze and get the water.
It's not what it says in statute, though.
That's what he said.
It might have been, he also holds the grazing rights to everybody's property, unless you put up a 5-wire fence. But that's essentially what we found out is those are easements, and they're not rights of way. So if you want to have those extinguished, you can apply to have those extinguished. No.
Is there a resource that you can look at that shows all the easements on your property?
Yeah, they're all online. If you go on the county's website, it's mohave.gov. If you need trouble, give my assistant a call and she can walk you through that. But those documents, even the picture that the original surveyor drew, those are all online. You can look at those. The GIS map, which is Government Information Service, you can actually put layers on that map too and peel it out. Sir?
Are they all, they're 30 feet or 33 feet?
Some of them are 84 feet total, so half from each property. Some of them are 60. And to me, I was looking at that and I saw no rhyme or reason why they have some are 84 and some are 60.
It's a section.
It doesn't even, it's weird, because the sections don't even follow where you would think. A lot of the sections are the non-graded road between the 2 properties. It's really, I'm not a surveyor, I've built houses before, and I had 8th grade drafting. So that's my experience on it.
Alamo is kind of extra in the easement.
Yeah, that's a county highway, so it's a different deal. Sir.
So are you saying these alleyways between our 40-acre properties are technically open to the public for public use? Any member of the public can walk along those lines?
Correct.
Okay.
And to me, that's the problem. Because I don't think you want people, so I may extinguish the ones that are on my properties too, because I don't know that I want people driving down behind my cars.
If I only own 140 acres, I'm only allowed to extinguish my 30 feet or my half, correct? I would have to get my neighbor to agree?
I'm not sure on that. You would think it would take the agreement of the other neighbor also, but I'm not that clear on it. So I don't know. We're going to find that out though, I think. Might get another question.
Yeah,
Get you
so
back.
once you explain about right-of-ways, what that really means is...
Not right away. Easements. These things, and not just being a jackass, which I normally am, but these things, words mean things, they're stubborn things, so let's use the right term because everybody just gets confused. And I'm not picking on you, Mikey.
So, it's all right though, I'm used to it. So the person who's
You're gonna have to wrap
involved
this up.
with that right-of-way, so-called right-of-way violation, if that person gets elected and starts going out and reporting everybody with a right-of-way violation, that means that those people either have to tear out the fence and move it, but they have to spend $600 to hope the county sees the value in combining and taking that right-of-way out. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be their two options, is to either remove the fence or to extinguish the easement if they want to keep the fence up.
We're going to have to move on here in a minute.
In a previous meeting that I watched with the board of supervisors, at the end of the meeting, we were going to go something, you asked that person if they were in violation of their 16 hours. So are you going to find out if, are you going to do the same thing? Is he in violation of the 16 hours?
I think it's the reason that there's anything to do with the CC&Rs on this is because he's in violation of the county ordinance. But I know I do ask that from time to time because I don't do things that will create, even though the county does not care about CC&Rs, we're not the enforcer of CC&Rs. When I'm voting to do something, I don't want to do something that's going to violate the CC&Rs and then have that HOA or POA end up in a lawsuit with a bunch of big legal bills. But I knew the situation on this one, so I didn't ask on this one. And it's obvious that he's in violation of a county ordinance. Like I would safely assume many of us are.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks,
folks. If you have any questions, my phone number and email on the county website, mohave.gov. Thanks a lot. God bless you all.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. We really appreciate that. And we've received a note up here, Susan Black, you are still recording this meeting. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. If you are, please turn it off.
I'm not.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate you.
How are you doing now? How are you doing now?
Okay. All right, we'll be moving on here. The continuity of how this POA came together over the years is quite interesting. We did a survey a couple years ago, and it was really interesting to get everybody, owners' viewpoints out there on why they bought property here, what their expectations are. And I know that Susan and hi Susan, we bought property out here in 97. It was our first parcel. And then there was the consolidation when they brought in the checkerboards. So we bought another property in 99. And then our last, with our home, we bought in, 2005, I think it was? I can't remember when it was. It was a while back, okay. 4 years ago, okay. That was it really 4 years ago? It wasn't 2005, wow. Anyway, it's interesting to understand how the POA is structured, how it came about, how it evolved. And it's been a work in progress for many, many years. And how the board's been operated, etc. So we've asked a couple of our past board presidents.
This is when the board has several past board members, one who no longer is a member of the association, get up and praise them. No other candidates were given the opportunity to have a guest speaker praise their merits.
To give us that perspective. And so I'm going to ask now for Chuck Bennett to come up. And he's going to give us a little perspective on when he was the president of the board and how all this works. So welcome, Chuck.
How this all works. Oh boy. But I think it's worthwhile that we talk about our history of Santa Fe Ranch. I moved out here in September of 2000, and it sounds like Rob was one of the first buyers of property because this whole association began in 97. And at that time, the developer was the board. And he would meet in Kingman at the dam bar, and they'd have the developers and the realtors and all that there. And rarely did anybody from the association show up. And finally, with aggravation and what have you, the board finally started, and I don't know the exact year that started. I was too busy moving out here, I think. But it was certainly after we bought out here in 2000, the developer still was the board. And then our first board president, I might be corrected here, was Joan Johnson. Very strong volunteer, very dedicated to what was going on out here. And I was on the board, or went on the board at that time, and worked with her and there were others that were here helping to develop. And could you imagine the discussion we just had? Back then, everything was all up in the air, and it was we had meetings of 300 or 400 people would show up, and we would meet over at the fire station. Even the voting procedure was all talked about and discussed. And we had, just like we have now, a few people that were causing most of the problems. But if you think about it, we have 2 jobs, and only 2 jobs, and we don't need any more jobs to do, especially for a volunteer board. And I must tell you, you get these emails and comments about how we're stealing money and all of that. None of that happens. And we have here volunteers that are really giving up their time. And one of the comments and one of the people running for the board are saying that we never changed management, for instance. Well, Steve Buck sold to Melissa Layton. That's a change. And I was board president at that time, and it was a grueling experience. We decided we had to go out and look for new management. I didn't know Melissa Layton from a hole in the ground. And I went to Phoenix. I went all over the place trying to find good management. And I did. I found a couple that were worth looking into and being serious about. But in the end, Melissa got the job, and she was very deserving of that job. And I have nothing but respect for her ever since. I think she does an excellent job of running a very difficult association. We aren't her only association. And she had come from Palm Springs area, retired, came out here, got bored, and she's not bored anymore. So we have a good management team. And if you have questions, we've said this all these years, make an appointment, go to Bullhead, it's not that far, and you can look at whatever records you want to look at. You need to make an appointment though. And they manage all the money. The board never can see any of that. We get a report. And from what I'm being told now, we're getting excellent reports with one particular board member that every month goes through all of the billing and makes sure all our I's are dotted and T's crossed. So we're doing roads, and we're doing what we don't want to become a Golden Valley, basically, and that is if you are not to have an RV out here that you live in, and you're not planning to build a house in simplistic terms. And I think that has been going on very well, very successfully all this time. We did a full-color newsletter back then, and I was very much involved in that. And I did a page in the back of one of those newsletters, and I don't know if it's still available, but that told you what all the requirements were, what the easements were, and where your fence line goes. All that was put in there. We also developed Neighborhood Watch while I was president. I was on the board for 15 years and president for 10. And we worked very hard to keep this association as well put together as we are even today, even with all the arguments and what have you. There are people, even back then, that wanted to destroy this association for whatever reason, I don't know. But it's very important that we hold together as a community, as Rob says. I truly believe that we are a very strong community out here. We need to hold on to that as long as we can. And we need to vet the people who run for the board. And I would suggest any board member, wannabe board member, that isn't putting any of their information into this running for the board does not deserve to be on this board. Personal opinion. And I hope that you'll support the board, even though you have people on there that you may not agree with. We are very effective as a board here. And I think if you look across associations, it's never an easy road to go. But I don't want to be Golden Valley, and I don't think you do either. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Chuck.
All right.
Thank you.
We're not taking questions right now. Thank you. We'll save it for open comment. Okay.
I feel as a point of order, this is an election, correct? And yet you've got prior presidents coming up advocating for the current board.
Who aren't even on there.
So,
Okay, thank you very much for your comment, but you're not being recognized. Mike, please. Please, yes.
I am an invited speaker. And you're correct. I don't know property anymore. But I am an ex-board member and ex-president. And I think it's a good idea to great idea to have that experience come and speak with you. First of all, I want to address a couple things. First, Chuck Bennett, would you please stand up for a second? That man put up with a lot of my stuff.
Chuck Bennett, a former board member, who has been illegally operating a campground on his property within the association for the last 5 years?
And I'm known for it. And he's still standing today. God bless you. I want to address the right-of-way problem. Excuse me, Brian, where are you? Give me the right easement. What has happened, what this has caused by turning Rob in. Now, each and every one of you are going to either have to spend that $600 to keep out your fence in the right-of-way, or easement. That's what she's for, I think. And I got her. I talked her into being on the board, so now I'm paying for it. So you're going to have to spend that $600. Or you're going to have to move your fence if your fence is in that right of way.
Easy.
Yeah, everybody using it at one time here. So, it's probably not a good idea to go messing with your neighbors that way. We have somebody running for the board who did that, and we'll get to that later. At any rate, I'd like to also address the comments about us being broke. That's not true. That's not true. Yes, we spent 2 years in the red as far as the money we brought into the checkbook for our zero-sum based accounting, but Chuck and his crew put into place a savings plan, which during tough times we could use. And we had a couple tough years. And because of Chuck and his board, we managed to get through that. So we were never broke. So anybody that says that to you doesn't know what they're talking about. As far as my board is concerned, we took over and we built a brand new board from scratch, more or less. And I'm real proud of this board. I'm proud of the things they've done. And I'm proud of the mindset that they put together to begin with. And they're still taking good care of your money. Because of Chuck and what he did in the beginning, we never, ever went in the red totally at all. And we're ahead of the game today, which Sharon will talk you through that. I really want to caution you on people who are running for the board that you take the time to question them. And I'm talking about everybody in the board, but there are people out there that want to burn the whole damn thing down so they can rule over the action. That's not going to cut it. Like Chuck said, it's tough to get another property manager. As far as Melissa's concerned and our team, they've done a great job. Are they perfect? No, they're human beings. Is this board perfect? No, they're human beings. Was Chuck board perfect? No, they're human beings. But the boards are all volunteer. These people put in 2 and 3 days a week of their own time to make this happen. So I recommend that you talk to everybody that's running, that you voted with information from everybody, and took the time to do your research. I got a couple minutes for questions? No.
We're out of time.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mike. I think that's important to give us a perspective on how this thing has moved along through time. And this board is honored to be able to build on the framework that was done by the other boards before us. And we'll talk more about that later, but we're going to get moving on this thing. And now we're going to talk about the election procedures and the absentee ballots. Do you want to say anything on that?
Sure. We're going to introduce our candidates and let them give a 5-minute talk each here in just a minute. But I was asked to cover the election procedures. We do hold our election by secret written ballot. It is per Title 33. All of you got your ballots through the mail, and we walked in today with 391 of them already completed. The return of a ballot to us counts as not only the vote towards the election of directors, but also as quorum. So we walked into this meeting with a quorum in hand. We're going to have to ask you guys to quiet down over there because we can't hear over it. Thank you. It used to be, and what your documents say, is that you are allowed to vote by proxy. And in 2014, that was done away with by Arizona statutes when they devised the secret written ballot process. And the premise of that is that they stopped also the taking of nominations from the floor. The premise is that with a large association especially, it's only right to put the information out in advance to all owners and give all owners the time to vote and return it. So that is the way that we hold the election. So without anything further, we'll go ahead and introduce our candidates. And as I introduce you, they're in alphabetical order. As I introduce you, would you please come forward and you can take the microphone and have your 5-minute talk. First candidate is Randall Barrett.
On the podium? No.
Stand beneath them, Randall. Beneath them.
There you go.
What was that? Wow. I hear you. That's what I was speaking to you. Oh, him up there. Oh, you Randall?
Hello. My name is Randall Barrett. I'm 68 years old. Not rich. I'm a poor person. My wife and I are kind of very private people. We don't like to really socialize very much, but we do like people. We do respect people. And so, since we like to be private and not really have a lot of interaction, we know our neighbors, we watch out for them, they watch out for us, it's all good. We don't socialize. We like to be by ourselves. So why did we get involved in this? Why did we start telling people what was going on? Because the few that did come to the meetings and were commenting were being disrespected and ignored. You out here, our neighbors, when you would come to the meeting, disagree with this board and what they were doing, trying to force cameras on us on dusty roads, ramp security, things that are not allowed by our CC&Rs. They're only allowed to take care of maintaining the roads and common areas we don't have. To do ramp security or flock camera systems, you have to change our CC&Rs. So when I saw the disrespect that was happening to the people who were speaking out, we decided to step up and start educating people by email what was going on. The the problem with this board that currently is that they go ahead full bore, and ignore everything that's said, and think they break the law. And so it's time to start making things known. And we've had some people step up here today and talk about things that are going on. So let's talk about a few of those things. Let's talk about the roads. Those easements between the properties are I&E easements, that's ingress, egress. They happen to be exactly the same as the ones you're driving on out here. He said that you own the property underneath those easements, right? You own the property underneath the roads you're driving on out there. Should we let go of those two? Should we have those extinguished? Here's the problem. For over 25 years, you and I and anybody who approached the county and said, what are these easements? Where can I put my fence? And they would tell you flat out. They told me. Those are roads. They have road names, and you cannot put your fence in those easements. So people spent money and put their fences within the easement. They took that 35 or 42 feet and they placed it inside of that. Now, all of a sudden, because after targeting Ben Peterson on a fencing and easement violation, and by the way, they have some prior history between Ben Peterson and this board you might want to know about. You might want to talk to Ben about that. There was some fraud and some issues going on with Ben Peterson, has now a negative relationship with this board, and after that, he was trying to get his easement removed. Of course, he didn't know, that's fine. But they targeted him, and they fined him month after month after month until he got those poles out of the gutter. Yeah, the gate was already gone. So when you do that, when the board opens up the door, and they start going after people for fences and easement violations, that opens it to everybody. So it wasn't until our board members got identified as having fences and easements, all of a sudden now they're going to offer to extinguish their easements. It was never offered to anybody before. So my position on this is, I will not financially harm our owners. If I happen to get on this board, we don't know what's going to happen to them. This board may stay in power. But I personally will never go along with financially harming our owners out here, finding them these extravagant fees they're putting on and putting liens on people's property. I've been refused to have access to our documents by Buck Reynolds. Illegal. Things that they would not let me see that I have every right to see. But I found public records. In the last 3 months, they've been very busy placing liens on people, taking a $600 overdue dues, and turning it into $2,200 that they attach to lien on someone's property. So if you like that, you like to target, what if it's your brother or your sister or your daughter? You don't know the financial situation of these friends. Why not just put the lien for the amount that they owe? No, they're raising them up with extravagant fees so they can harm people. I will never go along with this. With harming our neighbors, there's better ways to work this out than to go and attach fines and fees on them. So I hope things go better for our community. If you can see now that we had a board member on the board for 5 years illegally that did not own property here, you can start to see the criminality of both the board and the management company, because they were both involved in this. So I'm not okay with any of this fraud. I'm all about the truth and not having a corrupt board. So I'm standing up. I have stood up about this because it's very important to me. I want people to get along out here, to feel like they're not being attacked, and to show love and consideration for each other. Thank you for your time.
Okay. The next candidate is Mike Bilby, and he's not here today. Sharon is going to say a few words for him.
Mike Bilby was chosen by Robert Hooper to replace John Shea, the one who served fraudulently, after he decided not to run again. The board of directors found it appropriate to read his statement. Would they have done the same for one of their opponents who could not be present? Not likely, but I am sure they would say yes. Now.
Objection.
Verify proxy.
I object.
Okay, so noted.
So noted. So noted. Thank you.
Anyways, I'm Sharon Horton, but I'm going to be speaking for Mike Bilby, who could not be here today for religious reasons. So we are respecting that, his right to his religion. But he is a new owner on the ranch. I spoke with him a couple of times. He's only been here like 3 months. He's excited about being here. He loves how beautiful it is here, and he just wanted to run for the board to keep this common sense approach to managing our money and upping the values of our properties. Him and his wife are very excited about being here, and we hope that you'll give him a chance. I think he'd be very good and a very good addition to our board.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next candidate is Daniel Black.
Hi, my name is Dan Black. My wife and I have been here for about 3 years now. I have to echo what Randall said. He did a great job, actually, Randall. We both like to be alone. We just kind of keep to ourselves. I think the majority of the people that come out here are kind of the same mentality. We did come out here to socialize and to hang out. We came out here for some peace and quiet, and because we lived in the city before, and I love it out here. I actually do. I can't imagine anywhere else on the planet I'd rather live. Spent 21 years in the Army. I've been all over the world, and trust me, one of my first duty assignments was in Arizona. Fell in love. We still love it out here. I had zero desire to be on the board. I didn't even know what the board did. I didn't know where they were. We've only attended one meeting, and that's after the flock camera nonsense. I don't want to be surveilled. I don't want to be spied on, honestly, with cameras. Once we started looking at things, though, and we started talking to other people, it was evident that there were other things going on besides flock cameras that were a concern. If you look at the budget, I think there's items in there that raise questions. There's been issues that we have also seen with the board. I think it's time for a change. I understand some of these are your friends. I get that. But you've got to have turnover, people. There's got to be term limits. I sent out a statement. I said I would only run for 2 years. I meant that. It's not something I want to do. It's something I feel like I have to do. I'm also not in favor of finding neighbors and running up bills and things. I think, again, we're out here as a community, and I think that we can live together without being rude and mean to each other going forward. So, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
The next candidate is John Santoni, and John, too, is absent. Rob's going to speak for him.
John Santoni, current board member. Again, the board feels it appropriate to read the statement of an absentee candidate. Would they have done the same for an opponent?
And you're right after John.
Kind of blended into him.
Okay. So noted.
Yeah, John couldn't make it because a dear friend has passed, and he's at a funeral service here right now. But he wanted me just to tell you one thing. He loves doing what he's doing. He does a great job on our roads. He works really good with our grader and with maintaining the matrix. And he wants to continue to do that. He'd be honored to serve. That's all he wanted to tell you. Sorry about you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is mine now. Okay. This is me talking.
All right.
Okay. And I'll make this pretty quick here. So my name's Rob Hooper. I've been honored to serve on this board now for 4 years. And I've learned a lot over those 4 years about how this POA works, how the state laws work. Just one of the reasons I was really excited about having Chuck and Mike speak is that there's continuity of information here that really is helpful to know, because there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense when you get on this board. There's things you want to get done and you can't do it because of the open meeting laws of the state or other types of things. So I feel like the education I've got is good for another year, and I'd very much like to represent you again on this board. And if you've not voted yet, I have to ask for your vote to continue the work we're engaged in. Now, a couple of years ago, we did a survey. We got 2,850 parcels out here, about 2,200 owners. We heard from them in the survey. We had a really good response. If you were here last year, I think it was, we presented that survey. Most of the owners out here don't live here. Most of the owners are spread out all over the country. Their expectations of what they want out of their properties are probably different than what yours is. There are some common things, okay? But these folks are looking for increasing value. I spoke to a gentleman down in Phoenix last week that gave me a call. He's got 11 parcels out here, and he said, is anybody ever going to put a business in to create jobs? Because of the things that were sold to us in '97 by the developer, we expected to see it happen. They showed us the map. Here's where the schools are going to go. Here's where the golf course is going to go. You don't remember that? Okay. Do we have schools? Do we have golf courses? No. Okay. But I do see progress in that direction. A whole lot more people living out here now than there used to be. And we're going to run into new problems that this association and us as owners are going to have to face. So that's something, again, that I'd love to see the board be involved in. We need to take the time to roll up our sleeves like we've been doing and work. But really the thing I want to get across here is thank you. All right? I want to thank everybody that puts this thing together. Right? As an owner, I've been 3 parcels out here since '97, and it doesn't happen by accident. First off, I want to thank my fellow board members. John Shea is sitting right here. It's been great to work with. He's always been backing up everything. If there was a go-to thing that needed to be done, John took care of it. So we thank you for that, John. And I want to thank Sharon Horton, who's our treasurer. She's done a superb job on our finances. And wait till you hear her report a little bit later on our finances. She's got some really good news for you on that. John Santoni, who I spoke briefly for, managing our road program, he took over the matrix that Mrs. Fisher, God rest her soul, put together. Okay, and I had a lot of time to sit down with her and talk to you how that matrix was put together. It's really well done. John came in with a different approach. He said, all of you are road captains. And he put together a really good reporting system, and it's working. It's working really well. Is it perfect? No. Can I get better? Absolutely. We are in a continuous improvement environment. That's what we're into here. But John's done a super good job. And I thank Carol. Carol Wilk, who oversees our many corporate documents and makes sure that we are following the rules and our regs and that we're staying legal. Good job. Bye all. I want to thank the management company, the work that they do. And I get to speak to, how many times a day do I call you, Melissa? I don't know.
Depends.
It depends on the day. But to understand how the state law works and how the county works and be able to have those relationships and reach out and get things done, they're fantastic to work with. I was a CEO of a nonprofit organization for 15 years up in Nevada. And I know how hard it is to do the job you guys do. So thank you for what you do. I also want to thank our Mohave County partners. Thank you, Supervisor Gould, for representing the county here. But the folks that work at the county, in the utilities and the roads, they're just super good to work with. When we were trying to figure out how to get the roads rated better, the county public works folks came out. We drove up and down the roads. We talked about it. They met with our grader. They said, yeah, here's the right way to do it as far as floodplain regulations, etc. So thank you to the county. And I want to thank our legal team that represents us. They do such a good job of keeping it straight and everything. And I want to thank the great supporting organizations in the Yucca community, like the Yucca America League.
Time.
I'm out of time. I had so much good stuff. But anyway, I want to, and the last thing I'll say, thank you all for being part of this.
Sharon Horton is our next candidate.
Thank you. My name is Sharon Horton, and I've been privileged to be your POA treasurer for the last 3 years. I've been a full-time resident here since March of 2019. My husband brought me out here 13 years ago to visit his property, parcel number 3, that he purchased before the roads were in. I fell in love with this area immediately. I was taken aback how quiet and serene the atmosphere really was, and the beautiful sunsets and night skies are unmatched. I almost did not run for the board this year, as my husband's health was getting worse and I wanted to spend more time with him. I told him that I decided to not run, and he said to me, "But babe, you do such a good job, and your heart's in the right place." Unfortunately, he passed away last November. Again, I contemplated not running since my life had taken a bit of a turn, adjusting without him. But I kept hearing what he said to me. He was proud of me on the board and putting our community first. I am running again, not just for him, but for the reasons I ran for my first term. I want to contribute to making this ranch continue to be the wondrous place that it is. I want to work with common sense folks to keep our money in good order and keep the quarterly newsletter circulating. I want to keep on improving our communications and education of not only our POA members, but others that are interested in becoming owners in our community. I ask for your vote so I can continue to prudently invest our POA money and make it work for you. I will continue to audit our monthly financials, I will continue the newsletter, and I want to work on getting a public website established so POA owners and interested parties can learn about and fall in love with this community just as I did. I would be honored to serve you again, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
The next candidate is Running Deer Latahochi.
Hey, Running Deer. Makes it easy if you quicken in the syllables.
Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon. My name is Frank.
You gotta hold it up close to your mouth.
You gotta almost kiss it.
Almost kiss it. Almost eat the mouth.
My name is Frank. I'm Chief of the American Indian. I am a ordained minister. I'd like to become a board member and try to help our community. A lot of us probably don't go to church, but we all worship the Lord.
Amen.
And I like to help other people. I mean, some people out here are unable to put up fences or do other good things or have businesses. And so if I'm voted in, I'd like to try to help anybody that needs help out here. Vehicles or whatever. I mean, I can help people if you break down or anything. I mean, I'm not really much of a speaker, so thank you and God bless you all.
Amen.
The next candidate is Warren Pierce DeVille.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Some of you know me, some of you no doubt have heard of my name. There's a lot of rumours going around which I would like to address. First bombshell. I'm sure you've all heard the rumours that I'm a Satan-worshipping addict of morphine. Which is a bit weird because I'm actually allergic to the stuff, as I discovered after multiple operations. So I'd like to introduce myself fully. A lot of you may not know, my full name is Reverend Lord Warren Anthony Pierce DeVille. I too am an ordained minister. I'm starting from the church. And if some of you would like to come along at some point, have a discussion, I'm not asking you to join the church, let's just talk about what's in the Bible and things. I am probably the person Mike Sodolo was referring to when he talked about burning the association to the ground. I don't want to do that. I never have. In fact, last time I was on the board, back around 2007 to 2010, we had the best roads we'd ever had. The roads are appalling at the moment. Absolutely terrible. Worst condition I've ever seen. The money we're paying for it, we should pretty much have gold-plated roads. I'm sorry, I've driven around. They are awful. We are paying far too much. There's three main things I want to concentrate on the board. Roads, roads, and roads. Your property's not going to increase in value if you can't get to it. And a lot of these properties you can't. Even four-wheel drive is horrendous. Oh, by the way, anybody wants proof of the ordination? I've got all the paperwork in the car, the certificates. Right, what else? Oh yes, my morphine addiction. After hearing the rumours, I would like to introduce you to this, which everybody can have a look at. This is a 4-page drug test, covering 80 drugs, every single narcotic, SSRIs. A whole lot of stuff I've never even heard of, I don't know what it is. Every single one, not a trace. Some of you know I've got rather severe orthopedic damage, so yes, I do get a lot of pain. I don't take painkillers. Okay, yeah, so basically, those who've heard the rumours might consider being lied to a little. I've been here since 2005. I said back then, in 2006 meeting, first meeting I attended, two things. First of all, you don't cut the roads down and push the dirt to the side, because the roads get lower and lower and lower. They end up looking like a dry riverbed until it rains, and then you end up with a riverbed, which is what happened a few years ago. You need to build the roads up. I'm sorry, we need to change the grading contract if you can't do the job. Now, I've not heard any rumours about the board stealing any money. I don't think they have. And I would like to compliment Sharon Hall and give my condolences about the loss of her husband. He was a wonderful chap. She is the best treasurer we've ever had. John Santani, brilliant job on the roads. But we need better communications. The board just decided that they're going to do 4 meetings a year. Wow. So we wouldn't have known about the cameras, 50 grand a year for spotting cameras. And pretty much everybody argued against it and they decided anyway.
If I'm elected to the board, I think myself, Debbie, and Daniel, we'd like to see monthly meetings, third Saturday of the month. We're here, in person, combined with Zoom. Let's get everybody here, everybody in the development, come and shout at us. This is what used to happen when I was on the board. We had 60 people at a meeting. Come and shout at us, tell us what we're doing wrong, tell us your problems. Because if the board don't hear about the problems by meeting 4 times a year, nothing gets done. We need to get the roads here sorted. Things like fines and liens and things like that, that's absolutely last resort. Let's help the people out. If people are struggling, we all struggle financially occasionally. Help. It took me years to build my place, 2 years in a tent, which gets around the RV problem. Don't live in a tent for 2 years, by the way. But yeah, 6 months in an RV, I don't have a problem saying, you know, you're still building, that's fine, we'll give you a waiver. Another 6 months at a time. Guess who runs across the road from me? Professional builders. Over 2 years, this is how let's build there. Trying to get contractors is difficult. We need better communications with the members. We need everybody to work.
Time.
Okay. Thank you.
The next candidate is Debbie Burkamp.
Good morning, everybody. I'm here again this year. Same reasons. Oh, by the way, I don't carry matches. I'm not going to burn anything down, I promise. I do have my concerns with our board. And again, Sharon, I'm sorry for your loss. And she has done a great job. I do agree. And John also has done a great job. John's worked on his own. I'm sure he gets some help, but we never hear about it because there's not a whole lot of transparency now. I come from the same background that Charlene did. I was in recycling and waste. I had 20 drivers. I had routes all over the city of Tacoma and surrounding area of Seattle. So I understand routing. John works hard. John works by himself. Why is that? Why doesn't John have help? Charlene had road captains. The nice thing about road captains, and that's not everybody because that just isn't true. The nice thing about actual road captains is they can communicate with people in their area. And that's something I think needs to happen again. Actual road captains. The road does change, we know that, with the monsoons and that. So some years we have great years, some years we don't have great years. Some roads get better attention than other roads. That's something that needs to be looked at, and John does need help. I mean, honestly, he does a great job, but I know how hard it is to route, take care of drivers. He has a grader. It's hard work. As far as transparency, my husband Russ and I have been here, we're going on our 6th year. I don't think transparency has gotten any better. Communication with the board has gotten more difficult, as long as with the management company. And I do know that they work hard. Just maybe they're too busy. Maybe there are other companies or there are other POAs or whatever it is they do is taking a lot of their time. But we do wonder, are we getting what we pay for? What are we paying for? We pay a lot. Are we getting what we pay for? Sometimes we just want an answer to an email. And there are a lot of us, and a lot of you know, we get ignored. Oh, by the way, I am one of those troublemakers. We do have another Facebook, not supposedly the official Facebook, and I'm the admin of that, as many of you know, where we have doubled in size. And most of our new members are members that couldn't even be here today. I've gotten a lot of personal messages saying, why can't we be there? We tried to present that today, we were shut down. So I did apologize to them, and I will apologize again, since this is being recorded, that I could not bring it to you live. Our Facebook is a closed Facebook. Only owners can be on this Facebook, so by not allowing me to reach our owners, we cut them off. And quite a few of them are out of state, a couple out of country. So, with that said, I think we can be much more transparent. It is your board. It is your property. This is your community. And I love it just as much as everybody, because believe me, I come from Washington State, which is an amazingly beautiful state, but we choose to be here. Thank you.
The next candidate and the last is Carol Wilk.
Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see everybody in person. I don't have a really strongly prepared statement. Basically, I just want you to know that I do continue to like to represent you, and as other people have mentioned, in very common sense fashion. We are doing the work that the association voted us in to do. I am the perpetual rule follower and constantly asking for research into the law. One of the reasons why we have the ARS prepared for you this morning for the 33-1804, because the business of the association is not meant to be public outside of the membership. There's various financial things that get discussed, and those things are to maintain the privacy of the property owners.
Incorrect. If members choose to discuss the financials that they are allowed to see, whether publicly or privately, you cannot stop them. Only the confidential information discussed at executive meetings should be considered private. This is information that only board of directors have access to. The constant attempt to hide and control what members see and do is concerning.
To the extent that not everybody who is here wants to be on the internet. okay? And that we respect that. So keeping that in mind, I just want you to know that the work that John Santani does, he is working with any number of members of the community. He has an email address that you can all send, your concerns about certain road conditions. He addresses those, and he addresses those very efficiently. And the people who travel out here all the time understand that there's not every road can be traveled. We have, 450 miles of road out here, and I've been on board in the past where we tried to designate specifically road captains. That became very costly for those individuals because the amount of gas that they were having to pay for to drive the roads on a regular basis was something that they didn't want to have to encounter. I mean, that's a lot of roadway to cover. So we put it more into a community road captain perspective and invited anybody who is driving the roads to please report conditions that need to be addressed in that fashion. I think that process has worked out better because we are able to become aware of those issues much more frequently and more quickly than we have by just having 8, 9 road captains. And we've always had a hard time getting people to volunteer. So I've been on the board for 5 years. I will tell you that the challenges are constant, and making sure that we're getting, the bang for our bucks is the utmost priority for this board and for myself. I think that for me personally, my whole focus on the board too is roads. I mean, that's just the key to everything out there. And I think, I disagree strongly with previous comments that the roads are in the worst condition we've ever seen. I don't believe that. I have traveled these roads for the last 5 years, and I've seen it when it's been bad. We had big monsoons, a whole lot of stuff. I drove it in my 4x4 truck and almost got stuck. So it's something that, that's what I focus on. I think our CCNRs, talk about what our responsibilities are, and the board has always made a point of making sure that we take those responsibilities seriously. This idea that we're targeting people, here's my thing. I pay my dues every month, and we have people who don't. And that means that the rest of us have to carry that responsibility out of our own pocketbooks. And when we talk about, the finances, when you have 20% of the property owners who, for whatever reason, don't pay their dues, we need, as a board, to be responsible with your money and tell people, and send notice, you need to pay your dues. Everybody has to pay their portion of the dues because that money is what maintains our roads. Okay, it's what pays the road grader, it's what pays the management company. These are reasonable...
Time.
Okay, thank you, Amy.
Thank you. That concludes the candidates' statements, and we'd like to ask if any of you are still holding your ballot, that you go ahead and complete that at this time, and either hold up your hand, one of the girls can come pick them up, and take them back to the counter so we can get that completed. Thank you.
And I want to squeeze one quick thing in real quick. Greg, where are you? Greg, you're out there somewhere, right? Good. Greg, stand up for a second. I want to thank Greg for the good job he did in putting our potluck together this fall. Thank you, Greg. Really appreciate it. And I also want to say this, that in the next board meeting, I made a caustic remark which offended Greg, and I feel really bad about that. I apologize for that. You exist. I see you. Thank you. I don't know.
Did you apologize to me?
I apologize to you too. Right. I don't even know who you are, but thank you.
And you can use it telephonically.
Well, there you go.
So yeah, it doesn't take any vote or anything.
Do you know this Cindy Smith character that wrote?
I don't know her.
Is she recorded in owning anything out here?
I didn't even get that far today. I've been in back-to-back meetings with budget meetings.
Okay.
So like I said,
I don't know her. I wonder if she's a make-believe person that Randy or Greg made up.
Again, you got to be careful what you're saying. Are recorded. 10 minutes. I think this is Carol. I'm going to let her in. Cindy Smith is on the line.
Okay.
But I'm going to let this one in. I think it's Carol.
Okay, we'll move on. Get the ballots and we'll move on. That's really what this is all about. And you must be Cindy, right? Okay, nice to meet you, Cindy. Nice fun to get to meet you. And I'd like to see us all come together and make our ranch more friendly to each other. So I'll start with you. God bless you. I hope we can. Yeah, thank you. Okay, where are we moving to next?
30 minutes.
So moving on, the next thing we have on our after financial review is homework comment. So we're going to take the mic around. How are we going to do that? Come up? Yeah, you come up. I have 3 cards of people who want to provide comment.
Are there any others?
Are there any others?
Anybody have a card?
I would like to comment. Dan, I need a little please.
Go take him.
Okay, yeah, basically, when you give your comments, please identify your name, identify your parcel number, and you have a 3-minute window to make your comments. These are not discussions, this is for you to make a comment, okay? Get some more cards here. So I have one here, which is from parcel number 3476. I don't know who that is, but they wanted to... I'm not sure if they were wanting to make a comment or they wanted me to ask this question.
They wanted you to ask that question.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and get that done while we're getting these cards. With a show of hands, who lives on their property full time? What do you think that is about as a percentage?
A third.
A third of the people here live on their property?
Maybe less.
One of the things that it's always interesting to try to find out, even with a survey with hard figures, how many people actually live here? And how many people don't? And that's just not something that we have a good number on right now. So that's it. How many of us actually live on the ranch? And I know that Pat Orman was working on that one, trying to get that one figured out too. So, and I think our estimate was there's probably about 200. If you look at that, there's 2850 parcels, there's about 2,200 owners, there's probably about 200 that actually live out here. Those are guesstimates, to be honest with you. Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to the next.
Okay, we'll bring up Linda Berry, please.
Oops, sorry.
So I'm talking to you right now. So after receiving your end of the year letter, summary letter, I sent an email to Melissa about the Facebook page, and her response was that the association does not support any Facebook page. All association information comes to the management company and FOIOs. So when you called me, I told you that you should recant your statement concerning the Facebook page. So my question is, does the POA and the management company support the community, Santa Fe Ranch community page included in your end of the year letter?
Thank you for comment. The answer is no. We don't have a Facebook page. No, actually, I did not say that. Well, I know that, but I didn't say that. Thank you very much. No, okay, no. All right, we'll move on. Chuck Bennett.
We no longer have Buster Johnson on the Board of Supervisors. And when I went, one of the things I did was to locate a 2-acre parcel out here that is part of the Dutch Flat Plan that we can make into a park. And we even have a helipad designation of just how to put in a helipad. And I'd like to see the new board this year look into trying to get that 2-acre park actually going ahead. The major obstacles were they don't want to spend any money on the park. They don't have to. We had enough money back then, and I think we still do, to get that park installed. It's like Lone Ranger and Butch Cassidy. It's a very nice location. Has electricity on the property, water next door. And I think with Buster Johnson, when he heard it, said, let's sell the property and send profits to the county. Well, that was illegal. We couldn't do that, but he's gone now. So I think we might be able to get this in. Something to consider.
Chuck, do you know if that piece of property you're talking about is owned by the county currently? Who owns it?
The developer had to give a bunch of these properties, which were touched on earlier, like we have schools, police department areas designated out here for development, if we got so big. And we have 5 areas around our association's 2-acre parcels that are actually designated to be a park. But the county has control of it, and I don't know what that designation would be, but they control that property.
Okay, thank you.
That's a map of all those properties. You do? Fantastic. We'll have to get together on that. And it's really an important point that you do. It's really an important point that you bring up. I don't know if you all heard that the poor lady that got injured out at the guest ranch here was about a month ago.
Claiming our time. This is our time.
Would you just let me talk for a minute? Come on. I'm not going to go there. Okay. The point is, though, that we had a bad injury, and it took a helicopter a long time to land and find a place to land, and the ambulance were flying around the valley. I think it's really important, Chuck. I'm glad. Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, we'll move on to Greg Beffert. Thanks, Greg.
My name's Ray Beffert. 701 is my property number. My wife and I, we lived out here a little over 3 years, and we've attended just about every board meeting, both in person and via Zoom, with the exception of 3. The last one was November 18th, which happened to be my birthday, and I didn't make it to the meeting. But I did get an opportunity to review the video, and the comment that Rob made that he apologized for it about me, and I appreciate your apology. It was the right thing to do. When you make mistakes, you apologize. And you try not to do it again. I've got 33 years in government service, most of it as a cop. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of division that doesn't need to exist. It's either now you're either anti-board or you're pro-board. You're anti-vax or you're pro-vax. These dialectics are divide and conquer tactics that our government uses against us, and we don't need to have it here on the ranch. So one of the things that I wanted to do was help build communication and engagement. I offered to help build a website to assist with that. I have a technical background as well. The thing today would have been very easy to have communication with Debbie and say, hey, look, I was asked to field feedback on that flock camera project. And when I did, the board started shutting the criticism down. All of a sudden, you were anti-camera or pro-camera. I was neither, but I was expressing both my own concerns, and those are the members that reached out to me because they were given my phone number and contact information. And then to be ridiculed when you criticize, and look, the board does a good job in my opinion, but there's been some things that have happened here that I've lost some trust and confidence, particularly in you, Rob, as the president. And I told you that personally. It's not like this is the first time you're hearing it. That's not from me. So I've had Sharon in my house. But when there's time for criticism, you should be able to do it in a respectful way, but expect to be listened to. And that's what's not happening. So we got to fix that. That's all I have to say.
Well, thanks, Ray. I'm glad I listened to you. Thank you. Lindstedt? John? Lindstedt? Did I say that right? I can't read it right. John. There you go.
Yeah, 34, 34,
yeah. Welcome. Here you go, John.
John Lindstedt, I've been here since 2002. And if you think the roads are bad now, you should have been here then. If you go along at 5 miles an hour, bounce around, slam on the brakes, turn ready to face. All my engine mounts busted out, trailers busted. I mean, the roads are in pretty damn good shape now. I'm not on Facebook or TikTok, so the camera part, I'm like most people out here. We move out here we don't want to be bothered by the next door neighbor looking in the window 5 feet away. But I have cameras on my driveway. All I got to do is I can look on my phone and see who comes in, who goes out, coyote or whatever it is. So as far as cameras, I'm not for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that very much. This camera thing keeps coming up. 1 second here. They were license plate readers. They weren't observation cameras of people, and that's all it was. And we got rid of it. We didn't do it. We canceled it. Okay, because of the feedback. So everybody keeps going on, and that is just they're not well informed. Okay.
President, you have an officer here who can explain how those cameras actually work. If you want to give it to me.
No, we'll keep moving. But anyway, Mike Fisher. How you doing today? We're hanging in there.
Yeah. Well, this is my first time here, and my name is Mike Fisher, and I've been out here since COVID hit. And I think you guys are doing pretty good, but there's also needs to be a little more transparency with everybody. We got our information the first year, and then after that, we got no information about voting, balloting, until Chuck told me, and I was like, I need to come out here and find out what's going on. So whether I disagree with people out here or don't, I feel everybody has a voice and they should be heard and respected. And I'm like really conservative, but it doesn't mean that these other people that don't have a voice. So we need to totally respect that because everybody has some input in some fashion, way or form. The roads do seem pretty good because the first year I moved out here, I was going to Discount Tire every other week. And now I haven't been there in a year. So I do appreciate as far as where I drive, it's been good. So I do appreciate that. But I just think that there's not enough working together. I hear a lot of negativity, and when shit hits the fan, we're going to all be working together and be helping each other. Excuse my language, because I've worked for railroad all over the country, from Wisconsin down to El Paso, and I've seen a lot of bad areas, and a lot of people not getting along, even with the work group that I worked with, where we are completely divided, like 100 people, 50 on the COVID side and 50 on the not taking the vaccine. We need to really work together and treat each other with respect, because what happens is, somebody goes down on one neighbor's house, and this guy doesn't like him because of what he said, and now he's not going to go over and help this neighbor. That's not how we need to be. So we need to understand that we all came from different environments, different places, and we're all coming together to this community and respect each other's privacy, but also be able to help one another and have more transparency with the board, just sharing more information, because the more you share and the more you keep open, they don't feel like nothing's being hit, like what's going on in our government today. The more transparency, then it's like it's all right here. So that's just my viewpoint. The more we can just be open with one another and talk to one another and say, hey, you know what, I disagree with you, but it doesn't mean you're a bad person. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I just wanted to bring attention again and thank Sharon. Part of that transparency is the newsletter that we're sending out that has been reinstituted in the last couple of years. And then also email to anybody in the management company. They've been really good with giving information to the people who make the inquiries. And we're always going to strive to do better. So.
Okay. How are we doing on time? 11 more minutes? So I got some questions here from Don Lang.
Oh, yeah, that's me. I think I could revise some of those because you've addressed it already.
All right. You okay? Everybody all right? Thank you, Don.
Do you want to take this and revise it?
You can revise it. Yes. Go for it, man.
Hello, everybody. I'm John Lane, parcel 2622. I'm just a seasonal...
Order.
Speak into it.
Hold it up close.
Hold it up close.
I'm just a seasonal snowbird here, so I'm not a full-timer, and I know, and some people have no property. I know everybody has different interests. I'd first like to thank the board, people interested in running for the board, and anybody who volunteers for the work they're doing, because my experience has been through life, I witness people, a pattern where in a group, people who are willing to take a chance, willing to volunteer, willing to take the lead, put themselves in the line of fire, they take all the criticism when things go wrong, and non-participants who took no risk, they take no criticism, and I just want to recognize it's often a thankless job, and I appreciate the time you're volunteering, and appreciate anybody's interest. So, with that said, my question had to do with the security cameras. Now, I am interested in ranch security. One of the reasons I love this place is because it's a large part of the desert Southwest where crime's a major problem, where I can't leave overnight without worrying about somebody reading through my stuff. Thus far, it sounds like that's very minimal here. I'm also interested in a low cost to property owners. So maybe there's a balance there. I guess my question about these cameras, have we spent any money?
Zero.
And is there something in the bylaws that allow you to feel like you can take this on as an issue without running it through a vote, or is this something we need to run through a vote? I know it's a moot point now. In the future, if you'd like to revisit security, is this something that will go to a vote to our members, or do you have some authority right now that sort of allows you to address it? So that's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I could, I'll answer that. Basically, the bylaws do permit the board to make that kind of a decision. Yeah, actually it does. That, between that, the CCNRs, and even state law, and we do have a legal opinion on that. But saying that, and looking back over the course of the last year, I think that probably the board would agree, and hopefully, because I don't have the right to make their determination. But there's being legally correct, and then there's being maybe politically correct. And I think if we all could dial it back, we maybe would have rolled it out a little bit better to the homeowners and gotten more input up front before we decided to run with it. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody's perfect. It's very well intended. It looks like a very good program, and the board does have the right legally to make that decision.
And I might add to that when this whole thing came up, I got a bunch of conversations, calls from different people.
Our time.
Would you just let me talk?
It's our time.
Who's saying that?
Wait a minute. Who are you asking? Do you have a card up here waiting to speak? Okay. What is your name?
Randall Barrett.
Okay. All right. The two candidates that have cards up have been put to the side to allow the homeowners, the property owners, to speak, because the candidates had 5 minutes each one to give their talks. So we're going to go ahead and proceed. Thank you.
And I'm just trying to answer the question that was asked. The question is about the flock system. Looked like a good idea. We got a lot of feedback on it. I'm sorry?
It was a property owner that proposed it to us.
It was a property owner that proposed it to us. All right? But there was such a reaction to it. And I talked over with a few people, and the bottom line was it just wasn't worth doing after we looked at it. So I got on the phone and called up the company and got the contract canceled. No money's ever gone out on it.
Having the couple of people who contacted Flock directly, Flock decided to cancel the contract and refuse to do business with us.
And I don't want to go down that road again, believe me. But what I do want to do is have a committee that meets to talk about ranch security. Because there's issues I think we can take on. It's something we need to look at in the future. There's been too many thefts. There's been bad crimes out here, even 2 murders and a suicide. Okay? And there's cattle wrangling going on right now where there's guys coming out here in trailers and stealing the cattle. All right? And some people say, well, that's great, we don't like the cattle. But, you know, we just don't need that stuff out here. And so it's something that we're going to have to talk about and figure it out. And the rancher is an association member, so we're looking out for the rancher as well. So I think it's just good to have these conversations. And then I have John Stepp. I can't read that.
John Stein.
Okay.
And you got a question. You want me to just answer it, or do you want to read it?
Just answer it.
Okay. The question is there a date set for paving Santa Fe Road, Ron? No. There's just not. But I'll tell you what's nice about Santa Fe Ranch Road right now is that we are grading it weekly. So we're doing everything we can on that. But you know, just what was it, last week we had the Alamo was graded going through Calgary. It's already torn up again. The traffic out here is getting so bad. It's really difficult.
That's me. $2.3 million.
Yeah, $2.3 million for 4 miles. John, Jay Ward. He's coming. Here you go, check. 3278 is my parcel. I've been here for 11 years. Unlike many of you,
when I moved here, or when I bought the property and I decided to move, I was saddened. I understand better now that a lot of you people that come out here want to be alone, be left alone. The disheartening part was, I thought that we would be able to help each other, to be neighbors. And that hasn't proved to be the case, sadly. I would like to put you all on the spot. I'm not going to. And say, how many of you are people of faith? How many of you believe in God? How many of you profess to know God? So you go ahead and raise your hand. That's great. So here's the thing. You know, whether you are a believer or not, whether you put your faith in God or not, if you don't, I'm sorry. But the scripture teaches, when Jesus was asked, and if you just want to look at it as a good teacher, okay. The scripture, when he was asked, he said, what is the greatest law? He said to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second part is, love your neighbor as yourself.
Amen.
I'm heartbroken.
That's why you came out and vandalized my property? That's all you do.
Order.
That's an interesting thing. You know, one of the things about, I'm from Boston. I'm from a place called Lynn, Mass.
The easiest thing. You never go up. Where you came in.
That's right.
Let's have order in here,
Well,
please.
okay. So here's the thing. So, Randall, it's people like you that make accusations.
I saw you do it.
That's okay. So here's the thing.
I'm sorry, this is not acceptable. Please quit commenting.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'd be happy to speak to you outside of the meeting if you're man enough to confront me face to face. And any other man who has a problem with me I'm more than happy to meet you outside.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying we can discuss anything outside the meeting. Anyways, this is not pretty, guys. This is not pretty at all. So I hope that you'll consider the day we live in and the times that are coming. Be wise. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go find out if the meeting is supposed to be adjourned down here.
Jim?
Hey, Attorney Gould, I'm Jim Lightberger, parcel 2871, and all this stuff that's going on about the clear cameras is my fault. I introduced it to the board. I'm retired law enforcement. It is a license plate reading camera. It had nothing to do with what everybody's stirring up and saying that it's a spy camera. I couldn't sit back here and not address it. I'm sorry. But it's one of those things that is now a viewpoint, obviously, but I strongly think that the community needs to think about it with all the theft that goes on out here and with all the problems that we have. It's crazy. All of my neighbors out on Red Cloud Road, Shadow, and places like that have all been broken into many times. So for those of you that have never had that happen, you haven't come home and had your house vandalized, you don't know. Okay? It's a serious problem. And it's happened to many people. So if we can't all get along and watch each other's properties, then we got to come up with something else. That's why I suggested this system. My son is a captain in the sheriff's department who told me about this system. That's why I brought it to the attention of the board. So stop blaming Mary for it. Mary's done an amazing job with our neighborhood watch.
Amen.
We need to continue that neighborhood watch. And I know there's some division, and I don't play on Facebook a lot because I hate it. But there's some division on why we can't be a part of the watch and why we can't be and why we can be and who can and who can't. I'll tell you why you can't be a part of the neighborhood watch. If you're not validated by somebody that says that you're a good person, we don't want you to know when we're not here. I first came to town 8 years ago.
Mary's community service, community neighborhood watch that I'm a part of, Jeff's a part of, several. I'm going to say you're all a part of it. Because if everybody that lives here full time, you should be a part of it. Contact Mary. She does the vetting. So if she likes you, you're in. If she doesn't, hit the road, Jack. Kick rocks.
I first came to town 8 years ago, was standing in the post office, and was told in a conversation about our board president, Mike Servillo at the time, who's going to be out of town on vacation. Those people didn't know me from Adam, but it was just a conversation that was happening. And I was a board member at the time. People don't think. Me being retired law enforcement, I think like that. People stand around, you'll be at Safeway in town, and talk about, yeah, you know, so-and-so leaves and goes to Canada for 6 months out of the year? Yeah. So, think about that, what you're saying in public, about people being gone or people being here, so we can protect ourselves. I don't care if we do the cameras or not, I thought this was a great idea. I worked with Chuck Bennett on the board for, 2 years, Chuck? The board has changed and come drastically a long ways. I'm not pro anybody. We need to have transparency. We do need to have the community, though, more important than the board. The board has their own set of jobs to do. It's very time-consuming. Chuck can validate for that. I spent hours on the roads, driving around out here. Mary can tell you, Mary and I drove over 1,300 miles on these roads out here.
surveying crime things, surveying people that were broke into that called and wanted to know if they could get some help. I did that on my own dime, out of my own pocket, with my own truck and my own fuel, and so did Mary. Did anybody here walk up and say, hey Jim, here's $100 for your fuel? No, but I didn't ask for it. I don't care about the money. If I cared about the money, I wouldn't be here. It's not about the money. It's about uniting and coming together and doing something for each other. Because somebody else said, when the stuff hits the fan, who are you going to have to rely on out here? Your neighbor. Myself. So, well, if you're independent enough to do it by yourself, knock yourself out. Have a great day. Because there's many people out here that are of the age that can't or don't have the skill sets to do. Those of you that came from someplace with a boatload of money and can buy and do whatever you want, then great. If you don't need the neighbor don't need you. It's pretty simple. So, you had a question.
Yes. What would these cameras go on?
What would they go on?
Just animal, or where would they be?
So that would be up to the board. If you just,
Okay.
The answer to that question is there were 10 different places.
There was 5 places.
5 places where cameras looking 2 different directions. So it was all the entrances onto the ranch.
Okay, most of our traffic that stops at our house comes from Plant Ranch.
Right, it would be there too.
There would have been one.
And they're all asking for gas.
Yep. All of them. Stop and ask for gas, and they just stopped asking for gas to see if you're home. The other thing I've cautioned all of you on, and I've made this statement many times, if you have a gate on your property and you close it, that tells everybody out in the world that's a criminal that you're not home. So think about that. If you have a cable pulled across your driveway and you pull that cable across and you don't pull it across every day,
Can we get back on the agenda? 3 minutes is up.
I haven't heard him collect the thing yet, so.
That's okay. Let me address this. That we've got about another 20 minutes before the votes are going to be done. So and we do have some other people that want to make comments, Jim.
It's not looking at people, it's looking at the license. And you've got a track.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I followed up.
Okay.
Parcel?
Parcel number, please.
You guys don't know the parcel number? We're on the corner of Lone Ranger.
And your name?
Margaret Steiner Homes. And we've got that gravy building that we're going to see.
Okay. We can take it from
I think everybody goes through that. Yeah. We get broken into detail. And first couple times it was like, ugh. And I thought they did heck of a lot of damage. But we called Mary, and the next thing I know, we had 5 people showed up to help us. Now, as you can see, I'm really mobile. My house is not a whole lot better. They climbed up on the ladders, they did everything. They helped us. They're fantastic neighbors. They're hard people out here.
Yeah, and on the whole subject of security, we have an ex-Navy SEAL and also a retired Arizona peace officer, all rolled into one body. Okay, and he's agreed to work with us in the future. If this board keeps going, we're going to start up a committee just to look into it. And he's agreed to head up that committee. Okay, so we can at least talk about it. We can figure out what we can be done. We don't want to do the wrong thing, and that's where we're taking the input. That's why I canceled that contract.
Having the couple of people who contacted Flock directly, Flock decided to cancel the contract and refuse to do business with us. Now, keep in mind that...
Okay. We got 20 minutes. Anybody want to take a coffee break? We'll take a recess, and then we'll come back to you with the results. It's kind of like a pre-show. You're not coffee. All the